Okay, I think we have a couple more minutes if there's any other questions. Thank you.
So, specific to exclusivity, right? What are the things that possibly one should look for?
Tell me your situation. For example, do you have an OEM or they're doing private labeling for you?
It's actually a value addition. So what we do is we look for some products and we have a few more ideas around it.
Okay.
So we make sure we tell them, hey, you know what, these things have to go into this. Maybe a very simple contract that goes along with it.
Sure.
I want to make sure it's exclusive for us.
Sure. Do you own the intellectual property or is it contractual exclusive? It's not where you can say, hey, I own the IP. If you violate this, you're breaking. Okay, so it's contractual. Then it really makes sense. Here's what happens sometimes. In the real case study, I was dealing with an Australian customer. They had a bag design, like a really cool backpack, and they made an exclusive arrangement with the factory that they would be the sole distributor of this brand, and they owned the brand in Australia. And they said, all right, let's get whatever percentage is per unit sold. And the supplier didn't realize how good these guys were at marketing. So now they're selling millions of bags, and the supplier owns hundreds of thousands of dollars in royalty. What do? The cousin of the factory owner sets up a factory with the same employees next door and now sells the same bag under a different brand into Australia. So that was because they didn't think that the royalty would be that much. And so what do? You can't really sue that supplier because their cousin is knocking things off. So ideally there's some type of, as we mentioned about brand. Now if you own that logo in your home country as well as China, then at least you can stop your supplier from using your logo or anybody else, the supplier's cousin or whatever, from using the logo. The ideal thing would be some bell and whistle added to it that can be protected with intellectual property. You can have a contract that says you will not knock me off, but monitoring and enforcing it is very hard. So that is a challenge when you set up a exclusivity arrangement with the supplier. That's why these investigators that I told you about get involved, and they're maybe watching the factory to see if they're honest or not before you do business with them, during and while you're doing business with them. So it's really hard if you don't have intellectual property to protect to force the supplier to respect your exclusivity. The lawyers will tell you sign a non-disclosure agreement, and it doesn't hurt. It sets the tone that you're serious, but monitoring it is complex. And then enforcement, the courts are going to say, well, do you own the IP? It's just a battle he said, she said with a contract. When you own the brand, then it's factual that there has been a violation.
Just register your IP, then you're protected against anybody.
Yep. Oh, I should mention that that makes sense when there is IP. Being a little bit of a salesman, the business that I'm in is when my customers don't have IP, but they have ideas that they want to protect. So I provide the black box where the bill of material is delivered to me, and then we kit it together and put a brand on it so that the suppliers don't see the finished product. So it's less likely to be knocked off easily. Once it's in the marketplace, it's a free-for-all, but at least during the prototyping and the first to market phase. Okay, thank you again for your time, and if you are free, stop by Neil's presentation tomorrow, and we'll be hanging out down at booth 1H07 if you have further questions. Thank you for your time.